Hey everybody, Coach Will here with a fun little workout for you guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a buy-in. That buy-in is going to be 3 rounds, 30 seconds on, 15 seconds off, and we're going to go through 3 exercises for that. The first one, we're going to go down onto the ground. We're going to do a Superman position. So for there, lying flat on the ground, I'm going to try to be nice and passive through my lower body. I'm going to bring my arms either directly overhead or into a W position depending on shoulder restrictions. Take a deep breath in through my belly, and I'm going to try to lift my chest off the ground and hold. Now from here, you can see that I'm trying to drive the backs of the wrists up towards the sky while pushing my elbows down towards the ground to get that slight posterior shoulder tilt as well too. I'm going to hold this for 30 seconds. After that, I'm going to drop down to the ground, rest for 15, and flip onto my back for the hollow body hold, which will be the second one. Now from here, you can start by bending the knees slightly, lifting the shoulder blades off the ground, having arms directly over top of the ground without touching. To make it harder, I can extend the legs out, pointing the toes into the sun. And then to make it hardest, raising the arms up overhead, making sure that I'm not craning through that neck. So trying to keep that head more or less in line with that trunk position the entire time. 30 seconds of work, followed by 15 seconds of rest. I would then go on to the side lying leg lift. Now this one, we're going to be doing 30 seconds each side. So I'm going to go into a side plank position for the harder variant. Think about rotating that top leg down into the ground, bottom elbow in line with the armpit, lifting up off the ground, controlling down to start position from that knee posted up against the ground. If you want a harder version of that, full plank position, light lift, slightly easier form, down full side lying position, and lifting that heel off the ground with that foot angled in, slightly squeezing in the bum to push that heel slightly back. Now, the key thing for this one is making sure that I'm not trying to bring my shoulder to my heel or have that big side bend the entire time. So I think about actively kind of lifting that bottom rib cage off the ground, actually getting some tension in through the obliques on this bottom side, lifting up, controlling back down to start position. You can support the head if you want. We're going to do 30 seconds one side, and then flip over to the opposite side. Again, side lying, rotate down, light lift, control down, and then repeat. After that, we're going to complete, like I say, 3 rounds of that. We're going to go on to part number 2. Part number 2 is going to be 4 rounds. We're going to do 4 rounds, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off of work. The first exercise we're going to be doing is a kickstand deadlift. This is going to be focused as a challenging movement. That being said, I'm going to start off with my weak side forward, using either a dumbbell, a band, a kettlebell, or if you want, you can even use a duffel bag that you stacked full of weight. From here, I'm going to have 1 foot forward. Feet are going to actually start hip width apart. Back leg is then going to drift back. From here, I'm going to push the hips back to the wall behind me, slight bend into the knee. I can either start by having the weight up in high through the hips, keeping it nice and close to the pelvis, and then hinge down, or I can start from the ground if you have the mobility. Again, hinging through the hips, nice straight back position, keeping the shoulders above that hip. Deep breath, stand, and then repeat. Now again, if it's from that top position, this will be a little bit easier, and I would recommend starting with this. Just focus on that control hinge, really passive through that back leg, big drive up, big squeeze through that left glute, and control back down to start position. If you are using a duffel bag, same thing. Realize that you might touch down a little bit sooner. Nice control setup, both hands grabbing the weight, control drop, and then big drive up back to standing position. Once you've done 20 seconds one side, switch over 20 seconds the other side. Go for that kind of that hard challenge for that, since it is just 20 seconds. And then we're going to go on to our secondary movement. Secondary movement is going to be really focused on upper back stabilization. We're going to go into Scap Pushup. So we're now going to go down to the ground. From here, You can either go elbows down or wrists on the ground. We're going to go into plank position. Now, I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to drive the heels of my hands into the ground while I keep that big squeeze in through my hips and actually lightly pull the belt buckle up to the chin to go into that slight posterior pelvic tilt. Now from here, I'm going to let the chest drop down and then press upward and slightly back. So almost like I'm trying to glide my hand forward. I'm getting that controlled press back into the heels, and that's going to cause the shoulder blades to actively upwardly rotate. So they're going to slightly posteriorly tilt back and then glide forward along the rib cage. So I'm really trying to get into that big squeeze, that control reach, and then letting my shoulder blades squeeze together back to the start position, keeping arms nice and straight. Big push and repeat. From the elbows, same thing. I like to have the elbows a little bit ahead of where my armpits are for this one. Deep breath, push, getting the shoulder blades gliding forward along the rib cage, making sure that you're not feeling any tension through the front of the shoulders. If you do that, we need to slightly adjust. The third movement would be going down onto your back. Now from here, this is going to be an isometric. I'm going to drive my elbows down into the ground. My elbows are going to be about 60 degrees away from my side. So we've got 90 degrees, we've got 60 degrees, we've got 30 degrees, 0. I'm going to go about 60 degrees, make fists. I'm going to drive my elbows into the ground, almost like I'm trying to actively push my chest off the ground as hard as I can, squeeze between the shoulders, relax through the neck. Imagine that you're rotating the shoulders backward towards the ground. And we're going to keep this tension for 20 seconds. You can break it down if you want, so it doesn't have to be 20 seconds in length. You can go into a hard push for 4 seconds, relax, immediately into it, and do around 5 of those. That's completely fine, or 5 or 6 of those. Again, hard push. After that, you can recover. And we would then go back to the kickstand deadlift. Remember, this one's going to be 4 rounds through. After that, we're going to go into part 3. Part 3, we're going to be standing on up initially. This is going to be 2 exercises. We're going to do 3 rounds. It's going to be 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. A little bit higher into strength endurance for this one because of that 40-second work. We're going to go into an alternating reverse lunge with rotation. Now, with that rotation, whatever side I am reaching back on, I'm going to be rotating to the opposite side, or think rotating towards your forward leg. So stable position, I'm going to reach back into that alternating lunge, reach down, making sure that rotation comes through my upper body, my hips stay squared up, nice control down, big drive, repeat, opposite side. Again, drop down, reverse lunge, reach, drive. We're going to make sure we switch, drive, switch, drive. You can choose to either rotate on the way back, so rotating on the way back, not letting that knee touch the deck, then driving on up, or rotating as you get to that bottom position, so down first, and then rotate, and then drive up. Both are completely fine. I find that getting down to position first and rotating then is going to be the easiest, so I'd recommend starting with that. After that, we're going to go into bent over fly position. So grabbing light weights, I'm going to be showing off and using 2 bags of rice. That being said, we're going to go into a hinge position. Big squeeze between the shoulders, slight bend in the arms, and then control back to start position. So imagine that I'm going to keep my elbows slightly bent, squeeze between the shoulders as I open up, control back down to start position, making sure that you're choosing a weight that would allow you to get into position, add in a slight pause, and then control down. Now, this is heavier than what I would normally use for this exercise, so I'm only going to show a couple of exercises. That being said, control down, big squeeze between the shoulders with arms slightly bent, control back down to start position, and then repeat for 30 more seconds, getting up to a total of 40 seconds at that exercise. After that, 20 seconds to recover, you would go back onto the reverse lunge with the rotations. Again, making sure that you're rotating towards that forward leg. You're going to do 3 rounds in total of those 2 exercises. And then you would go on to the cash out, which is going to be a repeat of part 1, going through 3 rounds, 30 on, 15 off, Superman, hollow body hold, and then the side lying leg lift. That being said, enjoy the workout, stay safe, have fun. We're all in this together. Thanks.